And joining me now is TV commentator Dan O'Hagan. Good to see you, Dan. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Shame about the circumstances. Friday night, to me, all about Huddersfield Town, because I thought in the first half they were superb and almost highlighted all the shortcomings Norwich have had this season.
Yeah, great side play, great football with David Wagner, the coach there. But again, Norwich, it was so flat, wasn't it? You know, they just don't seem to be able to put two good displays together, or even two good halves together. And it just goes on week to week, win, lose, win, lose. You can't see where that cycle's going to get broken.
Is it right, fans and pundits and journalists and myself look at it and see Norwich come up against sides that play with high energy, that compress them properly? Norwich don't seem to be able to cope with that, whereas when a team hasn't got that energy, they do tend to deal with it and beat them quite comfortably. That's how it looks.
I think they've become very predictable. Teams know how to play Norwich, and they know if they play at a tempo, as you say there, Norwich can't match that. And you can't see where that, again, that cycle, where can they break that cycle?
It's a tricky one. Huddersfield, we'll just touch on this because there is a bit of news today about David Wagner being linked with Wolfsburg. And I guess that's the interesting thing for Huddersfield, isn't it? The success they're having this year. Keeping that all together is always the tricky thing. And that move could happen, suggestions are, as early as this sort of end of this week.
Yeah, and of course then there's another club who want a manager, and there's a very small pool of good managers out there, and if Norwich wanted to change, would Huddersfield beat them to the punch and maybe get the guy that Norwich would want?
You're talking about Gary Rowett, who's out of work. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, Alec is still in post at the moment. With Norwich, was it just not good enough on Friday? Because they, as Alec referred to there, they were better in the second half once he made a change and felt that they then had a bit more legs in the second half.
But as I say, they can't play two good halves, can they? You know, we saw it again. Huddersfield are a good team, we've just said that, but Norwich as the home team never looked like the home team. They never played with that pace, that aggression, which the home team should do. So while Huddersfield were good, Norwich couldn't match them, which is another concerning sign.
Indeed, and it has been a recurring theme with all the teams above them in the table, really. Hopefully we can have another look at the top half of the Championship table, because the picture is quite depressing, really. The top two look completely out of it. I mean, Alec Neil, Johnny Howson effectively said it's going to be playoffs or nothing now. And looking at that, it's hard to disagree, isn't it? Yeah,
but don't forget, 2 months ago, Norwich were top, and now they're 15 points off second place. It has been an unreal spiral of poor performances, poor results. And yeah, it's going to be tough. And as the manager said, I think now playoffs at best is perhaps all Norwich can hope for this season, at best. I
remember writing when Norwich and Newcastle were in the top two for the first time together. I wonder how long it'll stay like this. Convinced that that would be it for the rest of the season. I don't think the two of them spent the top two together after that. Would Alec Neil have gone if this had been any other club?
I think so. I think you lose 7 from 9 with that squad in what is a pretty average division, I think, this year as well. I think most clubs would have lost patience. He's lucky he's got a very patient board. Maybe a new chief exec too, who's not really been in the job very long as well, is another factor. But I think, yeah, other clubs would have made a change by now.
Because you are a Wolves fan, so you obviously keep quite a close attention on Wolverhampton Wanderers, where Jez Moxey spent 16 years. And a lot of Norwich fans are still trying to work out where Jez would lie on how this situation is going to pan out.
I think Jez Moxey is not quite the kind of hardball man that David McNally was. And he's, as I say, new to the role, maybe still getting to grips with the owners at Norwich, and maybe not in a position to make those tough decisions yet, but that's why he's there, to make those big calls, and he's not made a big call yet as the Norwich chief exec. So I think the eyes are on him as much as on Alex Neil.
And they were from the fans as well on Friday, weren't they? Because as much as there were chants against what Alex Neil is doing, they were directed at the board as well.
Yeah, and of course the board are the ones who make the decision. And you know, I think the way they're going, 7 defeats in 9, there is a decision to be made there. But whether the board will do that so near to Christmas, we'll have to see.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I mean, are we writing this off now? Are Norwich at a crossroads where we have to say, for all the ups and downs they've had over the last 6-7 years, it's going to come to an end now?
There's half a season left. This season, I don't think, is written off yet. If they were to make a change and bring a guy in, there is the player. There are other players there who can put a run together, as they did 2 years ago. So it's not a lost cause yet, but I think change. I like Alex a lot, but I do think change now. We're at a point where change has to come about.